Happy hump day, everybody. Hello, Warriors. How you doing, Richard? Karen? Looking forward to speaking to you. Karen Sterich is our guest today. Hi, Paul, Hugo. Ryan, how you doing? Alexander? Let's take a look around. How are you?
Yeah, well, good, mate.
Good, man. So looks like we had decent little break. This was my preferred short top pick this week, and it's hanging on by a thread. Hello, Alexander, Laura. So crude on the verge. I'll see if we're getting a potential. I know it's only Wednesday, but yeah, potential reversal week in crude oil. There's a daily. I think first stop is going to be 79. That's a 2-week off numbers. Then we'll have 75. And eventually I'm thinking about, 71, 72, and then a new high. So full moon today. So what could be topping? Yeah, full moon. Also, so the first part of this call was technical. Second part was, this cycle was astronomical, and we'll have Karen with us. That's what she does. To me, it was just a full moon. And the third part was counting on the administration to do the dumb thing, and that would be a release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And they'll probably do it as the market's heading down, And, when you think about it, what's the market most worried about? It's inflation. So if we had a break in crude of $10 or so, that would give some cover, maybe even give some cover to the Fed. So, oil's pretty important. Mark Chandler's going to be here tomorrow. And Mark says that every recession started, after crude had doubled in price. So it depends where you want to take the low in crude. You don't have to go negative. You could even go 40, and we have had that doubling. S&Ps are well due for some type of pullback. It's been, quite a recovery. As long as we're holding over this big 44.20 level, you have to give the long side the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if it's going to take it out. Also, on the full moon, maybe some type of short-term top in yen. Here's a 3 driver right here. So there could be some turning points today. Crude actually topped Monday. Dollar held where it had to, and it's trying to rally. I'm not impressed, though. I think this is a little too pat buying it back at the, breakout. So maybe we still fail from here in the dollar. We'll see. I don't know what happened overseas, but EG pound is showing a lot more relative weakness than euro. So EG is trying to turn. I know that Stel's looking at 82-ish, but you have to admit, we made new lows and we didn't confirm on the daily, and we didn't confirm on the 4-hour. So, it doesn't have to be a home run ball, but back to 85, Ryan?
Possibly. We had the inflation data out this morning, which was, a couple of pips lower. Nothing that to me screams that the expectation going to change for the Bank of England. PPI was up, that can feed into inflation. So pretty much steady as we go with the inflation calls. I think, again, people are pointing to that and whether that's affecting, Bank of England sentiment for expectations. But I think today, at the moment, dollar yen's just having a little crap out. At the moment, we're just treading the same old waters and what's going on in the yen.
Well, here was something else I saw that made me think the yen could top, and it's a 10-year. Looks like a 3 drive to me. on the daily anyway. Look, see this one
Yeah.
and this one, and now potential reversal on the 3. Maybe we pull back to 148 or something. That's possible. Or maybe this turns out to be a big failing rally, right? And we don't get to 2%. So I don't think so, but it still could be some kind of failing rally. I'd be careful about being too hot about higher yields for maybe a week. But I had a count at 168 and got up to 167. Well, not my count, but through my intelligence gathering, 168 was a possibility, and maybe we pull back here. So that's what I see. Can metals go up? Yeah, metals can go up with the Dixie going up too. That's happening right now, right? So why can't it continue?
In the short term, anything can happen for sure.
Yeah.
We've seen them both go up. We've seen them both go down at the same time.
Yeah. And we've seen them diverge from each other too. So, yeah, gold and silver, if yields are peaking here, that's one of the headwinds for gold and silver. So 40 in silver by year end. Okay. Yeah, that's a good possibility. That's the top of the range. And
if it breaks 30, it's going to 40.
Okay. All right. So Aussie's still the strength. Aussie's still higher on the day. And I don't know what to do with Aussie. I can't buy it. I'm not ready to sell it. And I think that's about all I wanted to cover, that perhaps yields are peaking here and yen peaking here. I don't think this is the end of the yen rally. I think it still has 116 in it, but a pullback wouldn't surprise me. It could even if it pulled all the way back to 112, this breakout level that we had. And I don't think it's going to be that deep, at least right now. That's not what I'd be looking for. But I think it's long in the tooth to be long up here. So,
yeah.
That's...
I say that I'm long just on a little scalp this morning, and that's just gone underwater. We just had a 20 pip drop for some reason. Yen pair's dropping, but I make you right on the levels. I think what happens is you get these big fundamental moves or these big flows, and then they sort of peter out a bit as the rate gets too high, and then you get all the latecomers coming in and they push it up the next leg. So I think the real buyers will be sitting down in the low 112s, mid to low 112s. If we break under 1380 odd, then I think we see some of the latecomers bailing, and we get a run down to perhaps 1300. And then
because here's the level that you're talking about, and also the green 50-day is on the 4 hour comes in right there too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would mean a delay or a pause in the carry trades if that happens. So, if you miss a carry trades, there could be a break for you to buy them cheaper.
Yeah, but, and as you say with Aussie, I said to be, you put us on the spot beginning of the week. What's our trade for this week? And it was Aussie dollar mine. But again, I keep holding off chasing it. I want to be long, but I'm not buying it up here. And you don't want to short it up here, exactly as you said. I'd love to be long a bit of Aussie, but I'm not at these levels.
And okay, all right. So that's what I'm thinking. We have Karen Sturridge with us at the bottom of the hour. Blake, how you doing this morning? Maybe he's not ready to come on.
He's still morning calling Powell.
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
I'm good. I'm just hanging out.
I have a question for you. Crude's coming off, Blake, and I know you started looking at USD CAD last week at the 61.8 level. It's traded on both sides of it. In fact, to me, it looks like this could end up being a little 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's trying to dig its heels in for some type of low.
You know,
So,
yeah, I'm more interested in in Norway right now, and
okay.
I traded the US dollar Norwegian krona last week. Here, let me I'll pull it up really fast. I traded on the long side last week here. Let's see. Let's go back over to the daily. I picked it up down here at the 127% extension. I was looking at it like this. So I bought it here. And then I ended up taking a loss in it as it, it stabbed lower through this, what I was looking at the megaphone pattern. I'm like, okay, well, did I just misdraw it? But anyway, so what I ended up doing is buying it again down here at the 161% extension, 78% retracement. That's a 161% extension of the last move that we made a new high. So that's why I measured that. I didn't, a lot of people go, well, why didn't you just measure, this one, or why didn't you measure another one? So there's that, and a couple other reasons too. Let me fix this here, and then I'm going to get rid of it. So I didn't measure that one, but also what I was measuring is this is a double top. This is a completion, right? You got a completion
Nice.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 161% extension of the last move higher that we made a new high. So that makes that one relevant. 78% retracement of the move of the this is right here. This low is where Stelios said that the US dollar Norwegian krona is going to go back to 5, and that he called the bottom there. And I'm joking, Stelios. I'm totally joking.
Thank you. I love you, bro.
No, but just so you guys know, Stelios literally called like the top up here. and he shorted the whole thing. So
I didn't catch the top, that's for sure. But
you caught a lot of it. So I'm
yeah.
just harassing you right now. Because that was such a damn good
That's
trade.
a lot of confluence, Blake.
Yeah. So there's triple confluence technically there. And that provoked me to actually put in a pattern and play too, with the ForexAnalytix. But I did trade that as well. A lot of people ask, do I trade the patterns in play? And the answer to that is most of the times I do, unless I feel like I'm a little overexposed for, one reason or another. If I have like, two already dollar positions on, and then I put in a third one, I put in a pattern in play that goes into the dollar, but I've already got some dollar exposure, I might not do it, something like that. But I try to trade most of them anyway. So I went long, and that's how I'm going to play crude if it's showing some weakness. Now you had mentioned that crude looked like it peaked yesterday. We are making and I brought this chart up into our chat room here. Like if you go over to, here's the ForexAnalytix chat room, just so you guys can see it. If you go in the files list, here's a chart. I pulled that up and made some comments about that this morning. About we're making lower highs. Now we did make lower highs back here last time we hit the channel top. So just remember, this is a channel, right? So we made lower highs here, but eventually broke out. So we might be doing the same thing. I don't want to get overly excited, like, oh, this is it. Crude's not going any higher. I actually do think crude's going higher. So, but I sure would like to see crude test 80 this time around versus not, just getting super shallow dips, like another flag pattern like you saw here, which is entirely possible. I don't want to, I don't look at crude and say, that's peak, that's it, we're not going any higher. I don't see any reason why crude can't go higher. So at this stage, I have to remain bullish while we're above 80, and definitely while we're above 78. This is the massive breakout here. But if crude has peaked, Dale, which I think it has, if it's peaked like temporarily, let's just say for the next week, then yeah, I mean, I think you could probably look at playing the dollar CAD. You could, Norway's a decent option if you picked it up yesterday, I think. But stocks still look strong. What do you guys make of this? Let me ask you this, Stelios, Ryan, Dale, do you guys think that stocks are hitting all-time highs here? Do you think we're going to do it, or do you think we're going to have a failing rally? What do you guys think?
I think so. I think they are.
Okay,
Just
you're
because
fired.
I'm bearish the dollar as
next
well.
participant, please. Just kidding. No. So you think we're going to hit all-time highs?
I do,
Like,
but sometime in December.
I don't see what's going to stop it. You know, what's going to stop equities hitting all-time highs is either some kind
Yields.
of black swan
Yields.
event. Yes, and
Yields.
wait.
Okay.
That's going to be if the Fed delivers something more hawkish than we're expecting. That's the thing. Or we get some black swan event like COVID. But otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, world events. Yes, Richard, you're right. But you can't predict that. And in the absence of something like that, unfortunately, I don't want them to hit all-time highs, but I think they will.
Okay. Well, Brian, what do you think there?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement. We're saying yields.
You're fired.
but,
Next.
Next. Just kidding. I'm joking.
What is this? Is this a CBR? Is this a CBRT or something?
No, so you think? I mean, and Dale just said, hey, we may hit new highs in December. I don't disagree with that. I'm actually asking more like over the next, let's just say the next few weeks. What do you guys think? You think we can?
I think it could be sooner than that. We're not far off at the moment.
Yeah, it could be like
those
One
highs,
good day
right?
away.
Yeah, those highs are going to be a big test. If we test there, okay, we might.
I
break
think we're
above by a
going
couple
to
of ticks
your red line up there,
to
vertical.
the moon.
Yeah, I mean, so this is an inverted head and shoulder pattern, and I'll just stop really quick and explain to everybody here. I do not like playing them like this. I don't. I just referenced one on Twitter. If you follow the ForexAnalytix account on Twitter, we had an inverted head and shoulder pattern to a new high. It's really actually bad practice technically to play into these, but they've worked so well over the last, let's just call it 12 years. When the stock market goes straight up, it's like, okay, there at some point, technicals, just kind of, this is not common practice in a normally functioning market. When you have a market that's actually got two-way price action, these types of patterns that are inverted head and shoulder patterns that end up being continuation patterns tend not to work very often. And this one did to a T. And if you look at, going back to the S&P, whoops, here's the S&P, we have one here, shoulder, head. And, could it take us up to the 127% extension? Look, I think, looking at stocks rally in the face of yields moving higher. I mean, you got the 10-year treasuries are breaking down. I mean, yeah, we're bouncing this morning, but look at the chart here. I'm going to take us off of 4 hour. I'm going to put it in a daily and look at the daily chart of the 10-year. I mean, this is driving back down towards 128. That's where I think we're going here. I mean, do markets still continue to rally in the face of that? What do you think, Stelios? You're the one that has been saying if yields go higher,
financials and cyclicals, it won't bother. It'll bother mega cap tech.
Mega cap tech, yeah, NASDAQ stocks. As a matter of fact, I know Netflix reported yesterday after the close, and by the close, Netflix was trading back to break even after, rallying post market. So it's going to be interesting to see the way these NASDAQ stocks react here in this environment as we break down. But I'm sorry, Stelios, I didn't mean to step on you.
I did.
I agree with you. Yields are going to influence stocks, but I don't think we're there yet. Where's 10-year? 10-year is 163. I've always said, anything above 170, it starts to grab my attention. And really the main level is probably the big psychological level is probably 2%. But it's yes, they're starting to matter more, but I don't think we're there yet, unfortunately.
Okay. And here's the 10-year, just and Ryan, we can get your thoughts too. I just want to put this out there. This is a chart you may or may not like. This is the 10-year, and this is a nice little triangle we're just knocking our head up against, and have been for the last couple of days, up against resistance here. So maybe if we break that 170 level, did you say 170? But obviously 180. I think this whole area right here is, from here all the way over to here, this whole area is going to be pretty good resistance. We start clearing that, getting up in these levels. Yeah, maybe that triggers a little bit of a response in the equity markets. Jane just said Netflix was down 18% this morning, just FYI. So thank you, Jane. So anyway, Ryan, what were you going to say about yields here?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's also about context. If yields are going up because there's a strong economy, strong consumer, good employment, then that's not going to hit stocks because they're going to follow up. It's the switch between why stocks are moving because of QE and central banks messing around, and then, if you like, standing on their own 2 feet and reflecting the fundamentals in the economy. So it's, if you do get a violent move up in yields, yeah, stocks are going to react. But if it's following along a decent economy, I don't think you see stocks dump much at all.
Got it. Well, that's that now. Let's talk a little bit about that, because when we'd have yields moving higher, but we'd also have, let's just say, if we had a weak economy, what does that actually tell us? That would give us more of a sense of stagflation, right? Wouldn't that be that way?
Yeah, that makes the inflation worries. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this: if we had a situation where the economy started to slow, and I guess the way we measure that is, let's just say employment continues to be a little softer, maybe some of the PMIs are coming off their recent run, but inflation is persistently high. What's the Fed going to do? Is the Fed going to fight the weaker economy, or fight, and that's granted, let's just say that inflation continues to stay elevated? Will the Fed choose to fight the inflation or fight the economy? What do you guys think there?
I don't think they'll fight the economy because, and this is a conversation we've been having this morning regarding stagflation. There's a technical stagflation, if you like, where it, like a technical recession, it's just an accounting trick where it ticks the boxes. But it all depends on demand. I'm expecting to see maybe Q3, Q4 softer on all these supply chain issues, and the PMIs are likely to drop because people can't physically produce goods. And if they can't physically produce goods, they can't physically buy stock, they can't buy materials. That's going to hit activity. But is that a proper demand problem? I don't think it is. It's not a structural problem. It's just people can't physically do stuff. That is going to impact the economy, GDP, and we've still got high inflation. And if the jobs market isn't picking up as much as it should, technically you're going to have stagflation. Is it a real stagflation? No, it's not, because, as I say, the demand is still there behind everything. And what happens is supply chains get cleared. Bang, we have a mini boost in GDP and activity, and we see 4%, 5% prints in GDP for a quarter. Then things settle down again.
What you described, Ryan, is already happening, right? We saw industrial production numbers on Monday. Were very poor, and like you said, if you don't have the materials to produce goods, you're not going to produce them.
That's not a structural issue. That's not a problem.
Yes. Yes, and central banks know that, and they can explain that. They can use that as an excuse, and it's a valid excuse. Why choke the economy when things are difficult due to non-monetary policy issues? Yeah,
and the problem will arise further down the line, because it's a fine line, as most things are, is to whether that stagflation, a technical stagflation, develops into something more long-lasting. It's like the old transitory inflation argument. If we're well into next year and supply chains have eased, but we're not seeing that pick up in the economy, that's when the problems are going to start kicking off. That's when stagflation really becomes a worry.
It's interesting. For those of you that do not know, that my wife has a retail business here in where I live locally.
Is it Walmart?
It is a Walmart. My wife owns a Walmart. Correct. No, she works with local artisans, if you will, people that are local business owners that build their own, they make their own candies or, wood products or what have you. No one can get supplies. They can't get, they may make their own goods here locally, but they can them in things that are made from China. They box them up in things that are made from China, blah, blah, blah. No one can get anything. And so like most of the retailers are actually these local people are, and this has got to be a global issue too, or at least through the United States. A lot of people aren't even going to be offering Cyber Monday sales or Black Friday sales or whatever following the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. They're just going to avoid them altogether because they can't offer discounts because they're paying up to get all their products. So a lot of retailers believe right now that there won't be very many sales going into the end of the year. It's going to be interesting.
There was a big bust in New York. The DEA found 100 semiconductors buried in a pound of cocaine.
Wow. Nice. So well let's dive into a couple other topics. So we've got you guys have been talking a little bit about the dollar here, and I want to discuss a little bit about the dollar because I think the dollar had a really big reaction yesterday. This is if you watch the week ahead video, see this little blue area. Oops, not that one. Let me get rid of that. I'll draw that again. So this little blue shaded area, this is the area that I wanted to be a buyer yesterday on the dollar. And the reason why, I think a lot of people don't look left enough, but we noticed that, there's a big, range in the dollar index. We couldn't break that 94.50. That's obviously a very critical 38% retracement on a weekly basis. It's totally capped the rally, which, I wasn't really surprised when that happened, but we were finding a base. And then yesterday we broke through that and, we dropped a little bit, but you can see there's a ton of support.
Right to the breakout.
Yeah. Well, there's support right there and support right there. Right. Yeah. And so that's where we went to. And that's what I was looking for. If you watch the week ahead video, I was looking for a break below this support down to this support zone and to see if we create a false breakdown. That we did. We actually, broke down and we closed back above, back into that little zone. Probably caught a lot of people short yesterday. But I think we have to really look at the dollar and say, it's holding up very well considering stocks are near their all-time highs. Now, I think if I had to guess, the dollar is going to break down if stocks hit all-time highs. So if we go back to the S&P and I mean, look, it's hard to argue the fact that it's hard to argue that the stock market doesn't look like it's going to hit all-time highs right here. Right? It does. I mean, we're right up against there. And, we talked about today. I mean, this is basically the bull or the bear's last stand is today, because we get above this 88% retracement where we're trading at. We're probably going to be challenging new highs tomorrow or the next day or by the end of this week. So the dollar index is going to come down if stocks hit all-time highs. But if we manage to carve out a lower high, then maybe this is the catalyst that drives the dollar back up to 94.50. I did an interview with Michael Brown. I'm still laughing about it. Yesterday, and Ryan's laughing already. With Michael Brown of Caxton FX, which he said, and I'm just going to sum it up, but you guys should watch the interview because it's such a great interview. If you guys didn't see it, here, let me see if I can. Oops, not that. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll put it in the chat box for everybody here in a little bit. He's
I'll do it. Blake.
Thanks. What he was saying is basically everybody's starting to price out, higher rates in all these other central banks. He's like, really the only central bank that you got to worry about that really could live up to those expectations is the FOMC. And that was the gist of the conversation. Well, that part of the conversation, but you guys should watch the interview. I think it's a really good one. But anyway, I guess the reason why I mentioned that is if the Fed really is the only game in town, you know, and the Bank of England, you know, everybody's, you know, and I'm sure Ryan, you're going to have something to say about the BOE here, but you know, the Bank of England can only do so much. The ECB is not going to do anything. The Bank of Japan's obviously not going to do anything. And, you know, the RBA and the RBNZ, you know, and the Bank of Canada, you know, who knows? But, you know, if the FOMC is really the only game in town of really tightening, you know, taper or whatever, you know, does the dollar rally? So, I mean, what do you guys think here about the dollar? I mean, I have to admit it's, you know, holding up really well.
I think Michael's right. I think we're talking in terms of pricing, what the market is pricing. I think the market pricing for the Fed is spot on. I think it might be just a little bit low. I think they might be forced to raise a bit faster next year. But compared to the others, yeah, the market is pretty much spot on. And as we know, the Fed is the main bank that everyone prices everything else off of. So yeah, we are seeing a bit of volatility in BOE pricing and ECB pricing. You know, RBA still lagging behind. But yeah, I think the Fed's pretty much priced, and so therefore we're getting all these volatile moves on all the other central banks. All
right. Well, you know, I just want to say, Raj reminded me, Canadian CPI just came out a little firmer than the market was expecting. Said 0.2%, and I don't know what Stelios is doing. He was sleeping at the wheel, not reminding us, but you know, whatever. Stelios.
I'm here. What? Like, come on, Canadian come CPI.
Come on. Everybody's looking at, but you.
Yeah.
It's all about the Fed. You just said it. It's all about the Fed.
All right. Canadian CPI year-over-year is 4.4%. You know, month over month, 0.2%. So, and then the core CPI came in a little bit stronger than previous data releases. So, you know, we're seeing the dollar Canadian dip a little bit here. So, and by the way, it's still, this is a head and shoulder pattern that's still got some work to do. Some
22. What's the target on it?
120. Some people believe that it's going to see 120 again. Morgan Stanley put a note out yesterday. But you know,
did they? What, for
I
120?
don't think we'll see no.
I think they're looking for 120 as well. So
it'll be 127 then.
Yeah, by the 22.
Well, we'll see.
Hey guys, you know, I do have an interview, but
yes,
I want to I just want to pose this question to you guys, and you tell me what you think. What's with Mark Carney saying we should abolish the dollar? He's saying it. Mark Carney, the traveling central banker.
Yeah, who's working.
I take it he's short then.
Research.
He's short.
Huh?
Is it? He's
short.
I won't listen to a word that guy says.
He's long sterling and Canadian dollars.
Yeah, I'd like to see his trading record at the BOE.
I mean, you know, yeah, he wants to. Oh, he does. He wants to replace it with Bitcoin. Sansi, are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
All right. So you must hang out with Mark Yusko. All right. So anyway, thank you guys for you know, some good chatter and
thank you, Dale.
some actionable ideas that we give you every day. Give being the operative word. All right. So Karen, welcome back. Welcome back to F.A.C.E. Can you get your audio going for me? I still
Sorry,
see
I had you on mute. There we go.
All right, Karen, welcome back. How have you been?
Good, really good. So I'm
right.
hoping you can share one of your charts, maybe the SPX and the USDJPY.
Okay. All right. So you know, full moon today. Does that mean anything to you? Anything happening today that you're seeing?
No, I would say the eclipses coming up are definitely more of, you know, the implications of eclipses, their sun mandates. Full moons, I mean.
Yeah, okay. Moon, I mean, they happen all the time. This is shine on harvest moon up in the sky. So are you going to be showing anything on your screen? Charts or anything, Karen? Are you going to be screen sharing?
Well, we can just use your chart if you want to put up.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
sure.
Just use your chart. So put up the why don't you put up this the S&P 500 put up, so the SPY, and if you have that a chart that shows 2019 to current, because what I really want to highlight is, so let's say we
Okay,
were
here's
having this,
2019 in the SPY. See it?
Yeah.
Okay, and here we are today up here, about
Right.
to make new highs. All right.
exactly. So what I want to illustrate is, let's say we were having this conversation in 2019. It's October 2019, and see how
Yeah.
the chart looks. It's just going up. So what I see coming is another episode of chaos like we had in 2020, early 2020, where we had a massive correction, and we had a
Yeah, caused
shutdown.
by COVID, the reason. What's the chaos this time? Geopolitical, domestically
Well,
political. How about a default on our debt?
I think it's actually international financial crisis. So it's banking crisis.
Okay,
I
that's
actually
right. That was
feel,
your narrative. Yeah,
yeah, it is my narrative. It has
I
been for
remember it
a
now.
long.
I remember it now. Okay, all
Right.
right.
So we're having this conversation and it's 2019. And,
Yeah.
September 2019, there was the repo crisis. And,
Right.
we didn't see an overall reaction to that. I think it was really shoved under the rug.
Right.
And so that, in my view, there might have been, like Morgan Stanley, some of the banks might have gotten a ding a little bit, and the Fed came in with overnight QE and sort of patched things up. But I think really what has escalated now, which was just to the few, is now to the masses. So all of the international financial, the central banks, all the tentacles of the international financial system is cracking. And so it was managed, then we had the COVID crisis. Some people, there's some speculation that, that was a
cover?
pandemic created to sort of cover up what was really going on, because they needed more, financial bailout. So, we saw trillions of dollars that have, different bills that passed, and they've thrown trillions of dollars at this. Well, it's escalating in my view, and it's unraveling again in the fall here. Now we're at 2021 and we're going into 2022, and that's what we're going to see. My warning is that what you see on that chart for 2020 is another potential coming up. So it was just a really interesting conversation listening to you guys before.
Yeah. So you're so you know what, I hope it doesn't, make you feel uncomfortable, but I actually agree that we could have something like 20 to 40% come out of the market. I'm not sure what the catalyst will be. You think it's a bank? I actually heard Sheila Bair say that everything ends up at the banks. It may not start at the banks like it did in '08, but with all the leverage in the system, her thing was, and she's not Astro, but she was saying that Powell really has to move slowly, or there could be another financial crisis. And that Sheila Bair, she doesn't normally, she's not an alarmist, even though she saw the other one coming. So what do you think it is? All that old toxic paper from '08, or what? I know that we're doing reverse repos. I never thought in my career, Karen, that having too much liquidity was a problem for banks. And that seems to be what's going on with the Fed doing, reverse repos, huge amounts, new record amounts every day. So is that part of the banking issue you're talking about?
Well, I think, that could be a symptom, but I think the bigger, the catalyst for it is most likely, and we're seeing it with Evergrande right now, where it's the unraveling of these
Debt,
real estate,
bad debt.
brand.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think
Yeah, you're
there's-
fading on me a little bit, on and
Well,
off.
I know my internet connection. I don't know why. For some reason this morning it's a little bit sketchy.
Okay,
So
so do you have a price level or time? If you're trading futures and you're off by a week and there's a big pop, it could take you out. Do you have any kind of time frame based on your astronomical work, astrological work, um, that points towards the high being completed, the end of this run ending in S&Ps?
I would say November 30th, I think we're going to see some volatility and into December. So I have some dates for December, December 10th, December 20th, and December 30th, in my view, look really harsh for the dollar. So bearish on the dollar.
Okay.
So I would be watching that USD, so the Canadian dollar to USD and the JPY, because I feel there's going to be some volatility coming up in the currency markets. So we
Okay,
see
so here's the weekly. Do you look at the yen this way or the way they have it in futures? This is, retail FX where it's US dollar against the yen. This means the yen's weakening. So, are you looking for uh, maybe a bottom in the yen and that the yen begins to get strong, which means it would head down after peaking with the market? Is that what you're thinking? That, we put in some kind of high in the yen, US dollar yen, and we head down? Or we keep going higher and rates keep going higher?
I
Lost you.
definitely see volatility, and I think it's hard for me because I'm not a currency trader to really look at the the pairs, but I would just say the dollar individually looks to me like it's weak. So the dollar index alone, if you want to just pop that up, so where you see right now where it's had some strength going up,
Yeah, not much. Yeah.
not much, right? I feel it's very weak, and what I see is that getting weaker.
Okay. All right.
So
So maybe
pairs,
some type of dollar crisis. And normally in the kind of crisis that you're talking about, the dollar would be the safe haven, but this time it's different. The dollar and dollar-denominated assets are all going to get smashed, and U.S. dollar yen goes down, strengthens as a safe haven asset. Am I reading you correctly now?
into April of next year. So I think
Okay.
into next year we're going to have some dollar strength, but that's probably following more of a market downturn. So I'm really looking at the potential for another pretty significant pullback into next year. So again, if we were having this conversation in 2019, October 2019, the markets looked great. Everything was pretty bullish. And then we
Yeah, right
had,
here.
yep. So it's almost like, think about it in that way. We're having this conversation and it's 2019. So
And here's October.
right. Yep.
And
so
we had this one last wave up. So and here it topped, and the top was in February, and this time the top may come in December. I was kind of thinking, let me ask you, I could see how something like that could unfold, but there's one fundamental event. Maybe it's it's just the way my brain works, that I don't think things can really unravel until after the Olympics. Do you know what I'm saying, Karen? Or is Beijing going to have the Winter Olympics, during a financial crisis? And aren't they going to do everything in their powers to try and, I notice that people are talking about tech and China's coming back. that G will do everything to patch things together until after the Olympics, kind of like, Hitler did in Munich in 29, and that there's not going to be, he'll try and forestall. He'll do all he can do to keep things together so it's not chaotic in February. What do you think of that?
I think there's a black swan event, and I just think it throws everything to the wind. Where,
Okay.
How can you, there's trying to stop gap so much. There's a very hard aspect to the Federal Reserve chart. So
Yeah.
Uranus
Oh,
opposed
yeah.
the moon.
Yeah, they've been getting battered. I mean, there should be some negative aspects to those front runners, don't you think? I
Well,
mean,
I
I
just
would.
think there's going to be a lot of anger at them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even have to know what candlesticks meant if I had a job at the Fed, would I? I wouldn't have to do
Right.
the hard work of analysis and take heat, wondering whether or not my stop is going to be elected or not if I just was a Fed governor. So that's what every young boy will dream about. But they'll say, "So what do you want to be when you grow up, son?" "I want to be a central banker, so I don't have any
Right.
heat when I trade the market. I'll always know where it's going." All right. So what do you think gold and the precious metals, with a weaker dollar, you would think that they're, maybe we're going to see new highs in gold?
I think definitely for gold, or and I would watch for right around the end of November for gold to, actually do something. But the gold and silver markets, they're so manipulated, and for years I've watched them, and even astrologically, and it's a very difficult market astrologically to really predict, because you really
Okay.
have to just look at so many other factors of manipulation. So, but I would say the Bitcoin is the disruptor in the room now. So I do see Bitcoin having, again, November 30th is a key date for also cryptocurrency. I would say very, very volatile, probably like exactly on that day, November 30th, whatever day of the week that is. That looks like a Tuesday. So
So
I
it's
would
after
watch for that.
Thanksgiving. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would watch for that, because that's going to be, in my view, a nod. So like the nod that the financials are cracking, because the December 10, December 20, and December 30 dates, those are definitely in regards to the international financial system cracking. There's some very significant problems, a lot of criticism,
Where is it
public
going to
criticism.
emanate? Out of China? They seem to be in worse, with what's happened with Evergrande and all their real estate, and they're an even bigger abuser of debt and bad debt and ghost cities. Do you think it happens in China as the epicenter?
Well, it appears to be, that seems to be where the media has a focus, but I really feel it's international. And I would say, Russia's central bank, I know they've been raising rates. Seems like they're trying to manage some sort of a banking crisis. It's not really hitting the mainstream media, but I would say behind the scenes, I feel there's definitely issues with Russia's bank. And I just think they're also interconnected. So China does deals, China's
Yeah.
doing deals with everybody. So, and I feel the United States has done some backdoor deals, with land transfers, or real estate deals that our banks are involved in, and that's what's cracking. So we're seeing that now. It's in the media. It's however they're going to, again, because remember, we're having this conversation in October of 2019, and what was
The lead up into it.
it's
Any feel for, we're having energy shortages and the supply chain issues. Crude has been on a tear in a year and a half. Any vibes you're getting on the energy front?
I think the whole system is shutting down, and that's why I'm using the comparison to 2019, because we had a shutdown in 2020. So there is some type of a shutdown again in 2022, and it's most likely just the whole economy. And is it by design again? Like the pandemic, was that by design? Is the economy, the flow of goods and services being disrupted? You had a guest on just prior, you were talking about that problem just with retail, small retailers being able to even get materials
Yeah,
or
Blake
supplies.
Swift. Yeah.
Exactly. So really what's happening is that it's already starting. We're seeing the beginning pieces of this shutdown. During the pandemic, everybody was rushing to buy toilet paper.
Right.
And I think as we get into more of a crisis, people are rushing to buy whatever they can get their hands on.
Okay. All right. So the shelves go empty. I told a little joke that there was a big bus that the DEA found 100 semiconductors buried in a pound of coke. So that's the old joke was they found, toilet paper buried, hidden in some cocaine. Anyway, so how are you preparing? What are you going to do? Merry Christmas, Karen.
Well, shop early, right?
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's
You
like,
could
well,
still you could still think about shopping after talking about everything shutting down. Okay, good spirit.
well, we got through. So my message too with this is, we've been through a lot of crises, and they seem to be coming fast and furious.
Faster,
2008,
yeah, yeah,
2008, 2009, and then we, have an entire economic shutdown in 2020, and now it's
yeah.
just, a couple years, not even 2 years out from 2019 when this started. So it's happening faster, and so the disruptions, people are just becoming, burnt out. They're just,
I'm
from one
fried.
crisis to the next. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I
You
think
get
that
desensitized.
exactly. And I think what's happening too at the same time is people have gotten through those other two crises. So we've almost kind of like, when you work out to become a better athlete, it's like you practice and you get better. And
Yeah,
people are becoming better at getting through these crises. So I do feel we're going to get through it, and we're going to move on from this, because at the same time, and I guess my positive message here is that the old system is cracking apart, but what's coming out of it is, I feel almost like this golden age is kind of running in tandem with the crisis. So it's like this beginning of, new innovation, new opportunities, people starting new businesses and new ways of financing enterprise, et cetera, where that's going to be, coming out of this crisis really
the
fast.
digital age, including crypto in the future,
Absolutely. So think about, when we came
artificial
out,
intelligence, machine learning.
all of it. So when we came out
Yeah,
of the war and so World War II, we had air travel.
right.
Computers actually started back then. So we had a lot of new innovation that kind of launched us into, sort of like a little mini golden age at that time, where people
Yeah.
were, actually prospering and doing better. And I feel we're really going back into that type of a cycle again. But at the same time, this other old, archaic financial system is cracking apart. And so
Yeah.
we've got a crisis to go through. We do have to go through this. It is going to be, so for people just to be
So
ready for it.
it's a great reset, right?
Look at it that way, yes. You could
Yeah.
definitely say it's some type of, but it might not be the one that they wanted. It's not in the way they wanted it. uh so at the same time, all of this is happening. There's new currencies. There's people who are starting new enterprises that allow individuals to actually save money outside of the system. So I
Right.
feel you're going to have new wealth creation in ways that were unexpected,
Wow.
and that's the
You,
good news.
yeah. Okay. To me, radical change, you get to a certain stage in life. It's, they dragged me kicking and screaming into the 21st century early on. So,
Right.
you know what I mean, Karen? Huh?
Yeah.
Where can I I someone please give me an address where I could find a payphone. And I find myself watching movies from the 70s and 80s and feel comforted. So anyway, that's my you know me now, Karen.
60s. Yeah, in the
60s too,
60s.
yeah.
The 60s.
Yeah.
And so to answer Kevin, I know Kevin just put a note up about the politicians, and I just want to say that, Trump's comment that, drain the swamp. Well, the swamp is going to get drained anyway. And it's
Yeah.
not because of him necessarily. It is just that it's draining. And the old system, like I said, is cracking apart. And we're going to see the escalation of this. And I hope we have a chance to talk again and circle back on some of these conversations or these topics, because I think it's huge. And that's why I really wanted to make the comparison to 2019, because we are literally right back there, except now it's a lot more serious. It's bigger. It involves the entire administration losing their power, possible shakeup within our political system as well, at the same time as we're having this international financial crisis. So it's like a lot is converging. So what we went through in 2020 was just kind
This
of
is
like,
this is magnified. It's higher reading on the Richter scale.
exactly, that's a good way of
Okay.
putting it.
Okay.
And that's why I like using that comparison, because everybody went through that, you know what it was. Well, guess what? Get ready, make yourself prepared, do what you need, what you feel you need to do to get through another cycle like that.
Okay. All right. Well, Karen, people are thanking you and find, let's see, good point. So this is our last Christmas. No, it won't be our last Christmas. Richard Adams, wow, my
No,
mother was an astrologer. So it's a trip to hear it here. So, a lot of people appreciate it. I know I do. I don't poo-poo stuff like that, Karen, and that I, you know, believe in a lot of things that Gann taught and cycles and eclipses. So we have some eclipses in December. Are those the dates that we have? We have solar, annular. What type of eclipses to look forward to?
so okay, so December 4th is an important eclipse because it's 12 degrees Sagittarius, which is the ascendant of the United States. So the 1776
Wow.
chart. So
Is it
if
lunar or solar?
it's solar eclipse, so that's a
Solar,
sun
okay.
mandate, and it's actually positive for the people of the country, really starting to get it. And like I said, they've been through these crises now, and it's like they're getting to the point where they're figuring it out, that okay, we went through that last episode and it looked pretty unnecessary. And so, people and the $3 trillion that, the current administration wants to push through again. So, so people are getting weary of it. So there's that. And then in April 30th in Taurus, which I feel is really also very significant for the nation, for the Federal Reserve in particular. It really kind of impacts that chart more than the USA chart. But so my main message is that, again, it's like we're having this conversation. What would you want somebody to tell you in October of 2019? Because you need to
Raise
make sure
cash.
that you're
And get spiritually prepared for being isolated for a year and a half. And still,
that I don't think we're going to have it's just going to be like a shutdown in a different way. The pandemic episode, I don't feel that's going to get repeated, but it's an international financial crisis. So that's what we're dealing with.
All right. Well, at least everyone's in it.
Yep. Everyone.
All right. So there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It's Hotel California. You could check out, but you could never leave. And I want to thank Karen Sturridge for being with us today. Maybe we could talk sometime this winter and, get an update and see what you're thinking. I appreciate your courage for, sharing what a lot of people would consider, I don't want to hear that. I'd rather not know, be naive, stick my head in the sand. But appreciate your courage of being, getting the message out there of what you see and having convictions. And now we have some times to look at it. Some of your stuff ties in with what I was looking to do in the market anyway. So if that, you just gave me a little more confidence, Karen. Thank you for your time today and sharing your views with the community.
Thank you, everybody. Love
Okay,
being
so
on. Thank you, Dale.
all right, Karen. My trading warrior sister, Karen Sturridge, and you could follow Karen. Here's her handle at kstar_trader. There you go. And she's, on her white horse. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Remember, in all times, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Adios. Oh, yeah. And guys, you could join the team in 15 minutes on the morning edge. Make sure you're shaved. Adios.